If you followed the news yesterday, you will realize that a major thing happened in the United States. So the government, right before Christmas, as usually, they proposed a spending bill, which was like 1,600 pages long, which they know that most people won't read it, and it usually gets passed right before Christmas so they won't shut down the government. So the title of this video is basically the shocking reality of being over 40 in 2025, what no one is telling you. And it's exactly about that. It's exactly about the news that we as older people either don't get or get late or get distorted from mainstream media. That's going to change our life as 40, 50, or like in my case, 60-year-olds. So mainstream media is no longer the primary source of news in this particular country, and I believe globally. In 2025, I believe that fewer people over 40 are relying on traditional TV and networks or even newspapers, which is like an outdated concept to get their news. Social media platforms like YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, now are dominating as the go-to sources to get the news. Talking about breaking news, like I said, I want to make this video because yesterday I was just, looking at the news and I'm wondering how many people even know this, that they are proposing a spending bill, and they're trying to do it right before Christmas. And the news is basically saying that if that bill doesn't get passed, people are not going to get paid. Is that really the truth? So I started doing some digging on social media, and basically I came out with a lot of different stories from a lot of different people like myself and other YouTubers or people on X or TikTok that have their views or opinions, and of course not to mention people that do this for a living and break out news. So the news from social media, it often reaches us, the public in the public hours, sometimes even days before mainstream outlets even catch up or even choose to talk about it, and a lot of times actually ignore it. I believe that the algorithms drive what you see and what you believe. So if you sit in front of your computer or your smartphone at any given time, depending on what you are searching or what your history is, news pop up. So the over 40 people, 50s and 60s, have to do a mind shift. They have to change because your life is going to change moving forward, especially in 2025, like it or not. So these are the things that you need to be told and you need to be aware of. Learning that social media algorithms curate your feed, showing stories that are tailored to your interests and your previous engagement is important. It's a totally different shift than in the previous time. So this is all helpful, right? It sounds pretty good that you're getting the news based on reality, based on what you're looking for, based on your history, but it also could be slightly tainted depending on the narratives and whoever is giving you that news. This shift means that many people may not even be exposed to critical stories that mainstream media refuses to cover. So if you are those guys or one of those people that are just still looking at the traditional network television news, and if you happen to be one of those very, very few people that's still buying newspaper, I don't even know if they sell newspapers anymore, to be honest with you, or you're getting your newspapers online. A lot of this news may not be even covered, and that's where your life is about to change. I mean, we're talking about here on YouTube, a lot of YouTubers talk about how YouTube is changing, how content is being driven by everyday people like you and I. Pick up your smartphone and just put your thoughts on a video and put it out on the web, right? But I believe that, the reality, the shocking reality of 2025 is the fact that things are changing and they're not going back. If you just take the time to look and do a little research, you'll notice that there's a lot more news that are being created by everyday people and then being picked up by mainstream media, which is exactly what I call citizen journalism. Citizen journalism is replacing traditional reporting. Something happens, an accident happens in your town, right? Boom, somebody's there, picks up the phone, videotapes it. Before you know it, it's on X, it's on YouTube, and we get to see it before the news even get there. That's how fast it's happening, you know? Something, a tree falls down in your town, cuts, blocks a street. Same thing. Somebody goes by, videotapes it. Before you know it, you're actually getting that news in your news feed before even the news cover it. I know it's something minor, but it could be something big. Just give me a small example. So everyday people with smartphones are becoming the first to break major stories through our platforms like YouTube, X, TikTok, or any other social media. The over 40s are increasingly becoming skeptical of, including myself, by the way, of the polished, the studio produced news that are turning to unfiltered real-time updates from individuals on the ground. We've become extremely, if you're like me, we've become extremely critical and second guess everything that is being presented on the news, which it should not be the case. I would probably pay more attention to a story created by an individual on the street, everyday person who's working maybe as a construction worker or a crossing guard or anybody with a smartphone than somebody who just shows up with a microphone. Again, think about it. This is a trend that basically it's blurred the lines between professional journalism and amateur reporting. It's creating both opportunities and challenges for accurate information. So you have to be careful about this, but your life is changing in 2025. The mainstream media credibility gap is huge. It's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, I don't know if it just, I know it's not just me because I speak with other people, I see it. Trust in traditional media among over 40 people, in the over 40 people demographic, 40s, 50s, 60s, has declined sharply. And it's due because it's perceived the bias and the omissions of coverage where they're telling us. Social media offers a wider variety of viewpoints and it covers topics that mainstream media often avoids. They don't even touch them. It's leading many to feel better informed through these platforms, like I said, than social media. Think about this. On this past election, unfortunately, older people voted because of their past history, of their beliefs, and listening to the mainstream media without really doing their due diligence. And I know some older people, 70s and 80s, and after the fact, they realize that maybe they should have done a better job in doing their due diligence instead of just voting because of the previous patterns. Look, in my opinion, the social media, all social media has become the new town square online. Social media has become the public forum for discussing and debating news, replacing traditional water coolers. If you went to work on Monday and you were just chit-chatting and talking shop on the water cooler, or what about the conversations that you're having at the dinner tables, okay? That is being replaced with social media. And over 40s, over 50s, 60s, we're embracing this shift for the majority of the part, not everybody, but using platforms like YouTube, X, more and more older people, more and more over 40s, over 50s, and over 60s are using these platforms, are looking to get on the platforms and share information, share the content, but also absorb information and content, share their views, let their voice be heard, engage with other people. I believe that this direct engagement with news and opinions makes social media not just a source of information, but also a hub of community interaction and influence that it's going to change your life in 2025, regardless if you realize it or evolve, or not, should I say. I'm sorry. It's just ever changing and you can't stop it. You can't stop it. I believe that as over 40s, 50s, and 60s, look, our needs and our let's stick with our needs. Our needs are different than someone of a 20-year-old age or a 30-year-old age. Our needs are different. What we do and how we look at life is different. So the evolving landscape of news consumption, the challenge that we face is a 40-year-old demographic, a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, and we having to adapt into those technologies while crucially evaluating your traditional sources of news receiving. It's going to massively change your life in 2025 and furthermore. So do some due research. Start reading and start following more social media independent content creators like myself or any other YouTuber and start comparing before you take action. Okay? Educate, verify, search, learn. But 2025 will definitely be a shockingly different year than any other year before and moving forward. Till the next video, take care.